editor-in-chief of Brand News, and this is the Financial Services News You Might Have Missed podcast. This is where I find news gems that might not have gotten their full chance to sparkle, and I dust them off a little bit. I'm joined by my trusted co-host, and more importantly, my trusted financial advisor, Brandon Galisi of Galisi Financial. Brandon, how's your week been going?
The week has been going well. It's beautiful weather out in Southern California as it usually is. Got to golf over the weekend, which was nice. So no complaints over here.
Very nice.
Yeah. What about you? How's your week been?
It's been good. Yeah. On the work front, pretty steady, which is nice. Trying to prep in advance of the Disneyland trip at the end of the month. Yay. So just making sure that everything's all solidified. And I got my new driver's license. I'm so excited.
Right.
I know that was take a train to Disneyland.
Nice. I know that was a long process trying to name change stuff and all the documents and things like that you need. So I'm sure that's just a sigh of relief to finally be finished with that.
Heck yeah. Why these things have to be so complicated is beyond me.
It is wild.
Yes. But anyway, our first piece of news this week actually dates back to last week's news. So if you didn't catch it, you probably should. It was a great conversation. This is related to gambling and sports contracts. I saw this and thought that it would be a great way to combat, or at least add a positive spin to what people are already doing. FusionIQ partnered with IQvestment and Regen to create, as the press release said, a first-of-its-kind embedded wealth solution that enables users to automatically save and invest as a natural result of their sports gaming activity, bridging the gap between entertainment, financial wellness, and long-term investing. So apparently the platform is already being leveraged by Regen, and as the press release said, Regen's platform, currently being shared through leading sports gaming platforms, enables users to automatically allocate a configurable percentage of each wager, win or loss, into a dedicated financial account. This transforms gaming activity into a consistent savings mechanism without requiring users to change behavior. So I thought with this especially, Lord only knows it's very hard to change people's behavior. So at least if you're going to keep doing something, you may as well get some level of a positive out of it. But I would love to get your thoughts on this one.
I found this really interesting, and as they said, first of its kind. I at least haven't heard of anything like this. I think the closest thing that it reminded me of is Acorns. That app has been around for quite some time, where they were at least one of the initial platforms that allowed you to round up your purchases and automatically go into a brokerage account effectively. So similar concept that anytime that you're swiping your card for anything, gas, groceries, etc., money's going into an investment account, and you would have filled out a risk profile. So it should be invested as well, not just sitting in cash. So same concept, but now just applied to sports betting and gambling. It connects to the different sports books is what the article was saying. So if you're going to gamble, people, like you said, are already going to be doing that. If there's this built-in X percent that the person chooses automatically does get set aside into a different account and invested, I think that's probably a positive thing. Now, of course, someone could have go in there and do whatever they want with the money at another time. It is their money, but it could still at least help people almost hide money from themselves automatically without having to think about it. And I'm a huge fan of that when it comes to the behavioral finance side of things.
Yeah. So to that last point, I felt like it was kind of the equivalent of slowing people down. So like, I presume the same way in my house, if I don't have the big thing of Doritos, it's slowing me down from putting on more weight. So this would just, if you're going to take out whatever it is, $5 for every 10 that I spend, well, I only had $20 this week. Yeah, I'd be curious to see to what extent this works and how people respond to it. To your point, I mean, you could, I guess, just go into the account and like, oh, let's just switch that over and do it all over again. Or you could see that this is some at least great side savings, whether that then pays a bill or gets you on a vacation or whatever it is. Maybe that would encourage you to gamble a little less and invest a little more.
Yeah, I love that point that you just brought up there of maybe you end up getting a little bit of dopamine of seeing, oh, wow, look at this savings account or this investment account that I have built up. Is that going to happen for every single person? No, of course not. But the people that it does happen to, that could genuinely change their behavior long term because maybe they never have invested money before or they haven't had additional savings. All of a sudden, they get a little something in there and maybe something shifts psychologically where they see, oh, I have some money over here. Maybe I don't just want to take this and blow it on something. Maybe I do want to continue to build that or maybe even choose to save more intentionally. So again, I at least don't see a downside necessarily. People are already doing this. You might as well save a little bit on it. And again, you could have huge wins like you alluded to.
Yeah. Well, may everybody have good luck with it. At the very least, you've saved something in the process. Our second bit of news this week caught my eye thanks to the headline: Rivo raises $3.1 million to build self-driving money and end the inertia tax. It was the self-driving money that really interested me. I was trying to figure out how you self-drive money. So for those who hadn't heard the term like me before, the inertia tax, according to the press release, is the gap between what consumers earn on idle checking balances and what the banks earn by holding their deposits. So as the press release described, Rivo connects to a user's existing bank account, monitors cash flow in real time, and automatically moves idle balances into a higher yield US government treasuries through its banking partner. Funds are returned before bills come due, so users don't have to change banks, they don't have to move any money manually, and they don't have to change their behavior. Yet again, apparently we don't want to change behavior. It's hard to do. People don't want to do it. So we're just trying to meet them where they are. But what I thought was interesting here, especially, is I don't think that it strikes most people. Yes, my money is just sitting here, and it's literally just sitting here. It's the equivalent. I could have put it under my mattress, or I could have put it in XYZ bank. It's doing the same thing. But if it were in the bank is making money off of my flat sitting there money. Have you had these kind of conversations with your clients about why are you having this cash literally do nothing for you?
All of the time. So yes, it just happens. I mean, it's a good problem to have when you have too much cash, if you will. But over time, cash can build up, whether that's in a checking account or even if it's in a basic savings account that isn't really paying much interest. So a lot of the times, the low hanging fruit whenever I'm initially meeting with someone is, have you considered opening something like a high yield savings account? Or we're talking specifically treasuries, kind of more on the money market side of things, but very similar in nature, short term, still liquid, much higher interest rate, probably closer to 3.5% to 4% versus effectively zero. So that's one of the lowest hanging fruit things. That's, hey, what if you could earn more on your money and still have the same amount of access to it that you do now? And almost every client's like, oh, now what bank do I open? And then we get into that specific recommendation. So long answer to your short question, but yes, this is a recurring conversation that I quite frankly don't ever think I'm going to stop having, because people are just unaware of what else is out there and maybe don't realize how much extra cash that has been building up.
Yeah. So in my case, without disclosing too much that somebody tries to steal from me, hopefully, I do have some money in a higher yield. I do have some money literally sitting and doing nothing for me. There was really no difference in opening either account. It was not harder to get. So it does seem like it's a lack of education problem, that people just don't realize a bank looks like a bank looks like a bank, but the bank accounts themselves have different rates and have different things that they could be doing for you. So if it helps to have this kind of a card, or if it helps to have this kind of an account, you weren't aware of it.
Yeah. And I think too, even if you are aware, say someone has heard, oh, I saw a commercial on TV about a high yield savings account. There's a lot of different banks out there that promote these different rates depending on the situation. Now, I think this starts to really apply for higher earners and those that are at least somewhat diligent savers, because if you get 4%, but you have, $500 in a savings account, it still could make sense to put that money in a high yield, but it's not going to be a big absolute dollar amount. But when you start getting into the tens of thousands of dollars in idle cash, that dollar amount starts to add up to hundreds to maybe thousands of dollars a year for, again, to your point. And a lot of these online banks are making it incredibly simple, advertising 5 or 10 minutes or less to open and fund your new savings account. Hey, is this worth 5 or 10 minutes to potentially earn an extra several hundred to thousands of dollars more per year? And that's the only thing that changes. And so I think sometimes there's some level of awareness, but maybe, well, what bank do I choose? And then now there's analysis paralysis, and it just gets put to the back burner. I think for a lot of people is really where it comes in. And again, because it's behavior. It's, what is it easier to do? Nothing, versus even if it's 5 or 10 minutes, doing nothing is still easier than opening a new account.
I guess as I'm thinking about it, so from the bank's perspective, I mean, obviously, so I'm more thrilled with the high yield savings account than I am with the bank that's not doing anything for me, just different access points. But really, at the end of the day, if I had to recommend a bank to somebody, it's my high yield savings. So from that perspective of loyalty and customer service and whatnot, you would think that then everybody should be pushing, oh, did you know we actually have this over here? Versus, oh yeah, just do whatever it is that you want, circle whatever bubble, and Godspeed.
A lot of the big banks, even right now, without calling any out by name, they don't really have high yield savings account options. Or if they do, it's substantially less than what a lot of the online banks or the ones that are specifically promoting high yield savings accounts are paying. So I don't know if it's just they've got all this brand power and they know that the cost of switching, even though it's not a physical cost, it's not even that much time, is enough where people don't change. So maybe they know that. I'm not 100% sure, but typically when I see someone who only has a big bank, instantly I'm like, okay, we're likely going to be recommending a high yield savings account of some sort. Maybe they keep their checking account or whatever else. They've been with that bank for 20 years, however long, but hey, you can earn more on your money over here. Most people will take that option, especially if, again, obviously selfish plug, if you're working with someone, a financial planner that holds you accountable, that specifically says, hey, here is the specific 3 banks that I would recommend for you. So they still have options. Now it's much easier for them to go in and be like, okay, well, my advisor who I trust recommended this high yield savings account. Okay, I am actually going to do it because I know that if I don't, Brian is going to follow up and ask me if I've done it, and I don't want to have to say no. So there is that nice accountability aspect if you're working with someone too.
Well, and I should say, so you've helped me in these kind of areas as well, and it's been lovely to see. Well, first of all, you don't recommend just one, because then I sort of feel like, oh, was Brandon getting like a kickback on the side to tell me to go put my money in whatever? Which I know that you're not, but it would just feel that way. So knowing that there's the 2 or 3 and that you've done your research, oh yeah, that's super helpful. Thanks so much. Now I'll go check them out myself. So yeah, it's too bad that we don't have that more generally available to people, but I guess just find yourself a good financial advisor like Brandon over here.
Yeah, that's, I think, one of the most important parts that financial planners do is they're proactive. They share important things like this. And just by nature of the recommendations and by working with someone, just like with a personal trainer, if you're working with a personal trainer, the likelihood that you go to the gym, probably high. So same concept.
Absolutely. So our third piece of news this week is from Traxion, which announced the launch of the Traxion wallet powered by PayActive. It's a new embedded financial wellness solution that provides employees with on-demand access to earned wages, same-day digital tips and mileage payments, and a suite of financial wellness tools from within the Traxion mobile app. The announcement said that employees also receive access to free financial counseling, savings tools, budgeting resources, and exclusive discounts designed to improve long-term financial well-being. So we've had discussions about financial wellness. I feel like this is a great step in the right direction, knowing A, that you have these kind of services available, and B, I don't know about you, but sometimes it gets frustrating. Like literally, I know that I have earned XYZ amount of money. I will not get it until end of the month, whatever it is. Why can't I have it now? So I think that it's bridging both of those things. But what do you think about this kind of program?
I think overall it's cool. I didn't dive terribly too deep into specifically what the financial wellness side looks like, but for a lot of people, maybe getting access to their earned but unpaid wages would be helpful. And even as business owners, that can happen at times. And we were talking even pre-show about, hey, how do we make sure that we have systems in place so that not only do we make it easy for our clients to pay us, but also if we make it easy for them to pay us, we probably also get paid sooner. So everyone wins in that transaction. And we're really talking about the same thing here, but of course with employees. And especially with, I never was a server at a restaurant, but I think of that, I think of tips, maybe being able to get cashed out quicker, especially with more people likely tipping on credit cards now versus the older days, maybe where it was a lot more cash heavy. Being able to get tipped out, I think I've heard that phrase before, a little bit sooner. No one's going to complain about that.
Yeah, exactly. Congratulations to everybody who can take part in this. Employee wellness is incredibly important. We all show up and try to give all of ourselves to our jobs. And so knowing that everything is taken care of at home so that you can show up at work and be yourself is fabulous. So may there be more things like that.
Absolutely.
Our final piece of news is LIMRA's Retirement Income Readiness Report, which found that 50% of people lack a recently updated written retirement plan, and only 40% work with a financial advisor. As the press release said, the result is a retirement confidence gap that savings alone won't close. I thought that was pretty powerful. Also, only 25% of people think that their Social Security, pensions, and annuities, basically anything that's guaranteed, will cover their living expenses in retirement. So this sounded pretty dour on retirement. Also, it wasn't great to see how many people aren't using a financial advisor. But what did you think about this one?
Yeah, so probably my favorite another self-serving stat on this one was 77% felt prepared for retirement if they were working with a planner versus only 47% without one. And I think a lot of that is just having the awareness or even expectations. If you have no idea how you're going to plan for your retirement income, like, you know, it's there and you're aware that you need to have that conversation. But if you haven't yet, you're just not going to feel the best versus if you're having a conversation, of course, if you have a written plan, or even if it's not a detailed retirement plan or any sort of crazy projection, just knowing that, hey, here are the things that we're going to be thinking about as I get closer to retirement age. Does other guaranteed income sources make sense for that person's situation? So I think just more conversations with a trusted professional, especially when you're talking about the decision of retirement, with running out of money typically being one of the major concerns of making that retirement decision. Obviously, having conversations with a solid professional is going to help with that.
Yeah, absolutely. It just also makes you think with these kind of concerns, why somebody wouldn't use a financial advisor. But as I was reflecting on it, I remember my retirement savings program had one of these. It was literally like a weather map, and it would show you like it's cloudy, it's sunny, based on whatever your savings rate was. But it also then to me is like, yeah, but did I input the right information? Was I really projecting the way that I ought to have been? This is self-done. I could have completely screwed it up and it's totally sunny. Meanwhile, I'm going to go broke tomorrow. So I wonder how much of people feel falsely secure based on like these kind of metrics where there's something built into the retirement savings where you're like, I think I'm okay. And then you find out that you're not.
Agreed. I mean, most 401k tools, retirement plan tools have something that you're referring to. Might show the different weather. I haven't heard that specifically, but that's pretty interesting. But I've seen some that will show, hey, based on, and I don't even know all the variables that are being used, but it will say, we think this could generate X amount of dollars in retirement income in 20 years, 15 years, whatever that timeline looks like. And I would at least hope, unless someone actually goes in there and updates their numbers and is really intentional, I would think some of those cases, at least I've had conversations with clients, it actually induces more fear for some, because oftentimes those tools don't have access to the person's full financial situation. They might have access to only that 401k plan and say it's a newer job for you, or you've been there for 5 years, but the majority of your nest egg is invested, say, in an outside IRA. Might also not know your social security. You might get $750 of income in retirement, and you're like, oh my gosh, what is happening? But again, it's not factoring in your personal social security. Maybe you are getting a pension, so you have some of those guaranteed income sources, or hey, here's a bunch of assets that it's just not factoring in. So I always tell people to be very, very cautious. Don't read too much into that unless they've either they feel really, really confident in the tool and they've gone through the ins and outs of it, or are working with a professional to confirm, okay, yes, this does seem accurate, or hey, here's how we would make it a little bit cleaner.
And you're absolutely right. So, I mean, I think that brings up, as you're using these kind of tools, that somebody can arbitrarily say, I need $1 million to retire. I need 2 million. I need 500,000, whatever it is. You feel like that's the benchmark. But it's like the benchmark based on what? Is somebody really looking at like, well, your mortgage is or isn't going to be paid by then? Your this is going to be different. You're going to be traveling on a yacht. Everything's going to change. So if you're not factoring in what that situation will look like and what the rest of your life will look like, ultimately, we're just picking some arbitrary number and it doesn't mean anything.
Preach. Not much more to add to that. Amen on that. I completely agree with everything you just said.
I feel like that was a little sacrilegious. But yes, thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you. Thank you for the great conversation. I love how we went from gambling to retirement and everything in between, but you're always up for it. So thank you for being so good about it.
Yeah, this was another really fun conversation, and it's kind of cool going from week to week to start to see some trends and some threads on what we're talking about. So I appreciate you taking the time to find cool stuff to talk about.
Yes, now you know how my brain works.
I dig it.
Thank you.
Thanks, Allie.